For Veterans Only is a national television news magazine for America's veterans and a presentation of Veterans Productions USA. Reporting for Veterans Only is Brian Patrick.
The National Veterans Golden Age Games encourage VA patients over 55 to make physical fitness a part of their lives. Paula Padine reports these games enable hundreds of golden veterans to participate in recreational therapy through bowling, croquet, dominoes, and swimming.
Take your mark!
No, it's not the Olympics. It's the 4th National Golden Age Games. And if you look a little closer, you'll see that these swimmers are no youngsters. They are all military veterans 55 or older receiving care at VA medical facilities nationwide. This year's event was hosted by the Veterans Affairs Medical Center in Bonham, Texas. The games consist of several events in recreational sports, including swimming, bicycling, horseshoes, and shuffleboard, to name a few. Ronald Ray, Assistant Secretary for Human Resources with the DVA, says the games represent an opportunity for our aging veterans to sip from the fountain of youth.
They represent those people who are willing to get up again for their country and show that there is life after you reach the ages of 70 or 80, and they're participating in a form which I think adds a lot to the well-being of those people. And I think it's the role models that we're looking for, and today we have a lot of those with us.
Role models like Clarence Quinton from Waco, Texas.
It makes me feel young, makes me feel younger, and forget about my sickness.
Bob Crampton, St. Louis, Missouri.
I've got all my upper body strength, and I'm slowly getting it back in my legs. And this competition is good for me, and the companionship is unbelievable.
And Landon Chilcutt.
It revives everything I wanted to do as a young man. It really does. Like, I grew up during the Depression. You just didn't have time for sports, taking part. Believe it or not, after 65 years old, I really started in on it. And it's been great for me.
Okay, Landon Chilcutt, Joe Estes, Ralph Kotorski.
Landon Chilcutt, or Chili as his friends call him, won 3 silver medals at the Games. He attributes his good shape to the fitness program at his hospital in St. Louis.
Well, the Veterans Hospital, Jefferson Barracks Hospital, they have a fitness. They call it Fitness Forever, which has been terrific for us. We go down there and we exercise 3 times a week. And then I volunteer 3 times a week to help with people in wheelchairs. I help them swimming. Then I also pass out crafts for them to keep active. You know, they make little cars and all that, and little boats, and do paintings, and they're all very good. It brings out the best of people. You know, when you're down and flat on your back, that's when you really start fighting, you know. And a lot of them have come out of it, and they look so forward to us to come down there and help them in the swimming pool, you know, and pushing wheelchairs around. We take them to ball games and all that. It's just wonderful, really.
One of those people that helps make things wonderful for Chile is Maureen Wheat, a recreational specialist at the St. Louis VA Medical Center. She says the games add vibrancy to the lives of her patients and may even cause them to act
like a kid at Christmas, like they've gotten a huge present that they hoped they might get, and that somebody read their mind and gave them exactly what they wanted. There's a light inside of everyone, and the light just is brilliant. I mean, early on in the games, and when they come back, it just is a nice glow.
Maureen says the holistic approach that the VA now provides to its aging veterans is important.
Because they're older does not mean that their life is in any way ending. It is simply changing, and it's modified. Their need for health care or emergency care while they're being active in these games is no different than any other age group. They're a lot more like they were when they were younger, only maybe just a little slower or a little more thoughtful, as we say.
Frank Jones of Canandaigua, New York, is one of those veterans who has become more thoughtful. A stroke paralyzed Frank from the neck down. Frank says before his stroke, he was a very competitive person, playing basketball, football, tennis, and checkers. He still plays checkers, but now in each corner of Frank's checkerboard is a small white number. Frank can look at those numbers and instruct someone to play for him. Dan Bentz, one of Frank's recreational therapists, says these games give Frank a chance to improve.
And this is an opportunity for Frank to explore some new things, to get away from the hospital, to be back into the community, to try out some things that he hasn't done before, and just to travel. Although we take him out in the bus at the hospital. This going on the airplane and traveling, has been a first for him since his stroke. So it's been great for him so far.
Frank may not know it, but he made an impression on other therapists as well. Jerry Hopkins of Amarillo, Texas, was the Checkers event coordinator. He remembers Frank and was impressed with his abilities. He too feels the games help bring out the best in these veterans.
You can just see the look on their face and see a lot of different emotions. You can just tell those guys are a lot of pride, happy, enjoying it. It's just determination. They're here and they're going to do the best they can, and nothing's going to stop them, and that's great. Just love it. It's good to see something like that.
Frank did win first place in Checkers for his age division of 55 to 62, and he says he's happy he participated in the games.
It's a very exciting time for everybody. It gets the whole adrenaline going, and it makes you feel like you're really in the mainstream again. It's sort of, I don't say it revitalizes you, but it does make you feel like you're part of a community, and that's what we are, a community and a family.
Veteran Chris Raftis of Ann Arbor, Michigan, knows about that community support. Chris was sponsored at the games by his American Legion post, and for good reason. Chris knows how to play billiards single-handedly. At a young age, Chris managed pool rooms in Dayton, Ohio. He became so good at playing pool that no one dared to compete against him. Then he started playing single-handedly to get some competitors. He excelled again and soon became known as the one-armed bandit. Now, Chris uses both styles to better his game.
With two hands, it's easier to put spin on the ball or draw the ball, make fancy shots. And with one hand, it's easier to rifle sight the shot, to make sure you're hitting the right side of the ball and try to determine how much of the ball to hit. It's easier to do that with one hand because you've got a rifle sighting.
Chris fared well in the competition, taking home a bronze medal in his age group. He says he learned a lot from this year's games.
Well, I think there's a lot of social activity and a lot of relationships that develop from meeting people and competing with people. And over a period of time, you get to know more about them, and you're able to, because there is a competition, you have to study, you have to develop your skills in order to stay competitive. So next year, I know that before I come here, I have to practice 3 or 4 weeks instead of 3 or 4 days if I want to expect to win a medal. The medals here are very hard to come by.
At this year's games, there were 269 competitors from 21 states. It's not an easy task pulling off an event like this. You have to find food, lodging, transportation for all those veterans. Not only that, you've got volunteers and spouses who may want to accompany their husbands to the games. But Billy Valentine, who's the director of the Bonham VA that hosted this year's events, says the planning and the effort is all worthwhile.
Well, I've witnessed a lot of camaraderie. I've witnessed some competitive juices flowing, but more than anything else, I've witnessed a lot of men 55 years and older that are remaining active and taking an interest in doing things. So for that sole reason, it's been worthwhile.
The games were held at Austin College in Sherman, Texas. Here, many veterans received lodging and meals free of charge. Most only had to pay for their transportation. The costs were kept low thanks to the Disabled American Veterans who co-sponsored the event. Jack Andre, National Commander for the DAV, felt proud that his organization could help older veterans participate.
During the games here, there was a lot of things that happened there. You had winners, and you had some that didn't win the medal that they wanted to win. And it was kind of frustrating for them. But the thing was, that was really, to me, really neat was that there was a lot of caring, sharing, and loving between everybody involved here.
Any injuries or medical problems were also attended to at the college. This group of Army Medical Reservists made the Golden Age Games a part of their 2 weeks of annual training. Most of the injuries they treated were caused by the heat. Lieutenant Colonel Sharon Franklin, commander of the unit, says her crew kept active by putting sunscreen on all the veterans and civilians and by passing out water. But Franklin says the veterans weren't the only ones who benefited from the games.
Most of us are used to dealing with a younger crew, people that are very active normally and are in really good health. You're taking an older population, 55 plus, that have multiple health problems, haven't really been real active, but many of the veterans are in very good shape. And it's kind of giving us a different perspective on different healthcare situations that we might maybe have never dealt with on such a broad spectrum, and kind of putting us back into it since we ourselves are veterans and we'll someday be able to use the facilities. Also, it's bringing them a new light, yes, that the Army is still there to help support them now that they are not able to really give us all the support that they can.
VA staff members also learned a thing or two. Sherry Bennell of Long Beach, California, was the events coordinator for swimming. She said the games were professional and were treated like an Olympic event.
Oh, I think it was incredible. These guys are great. They get in there and they give it all they got, and it's exciting, and they had a lot of fun, and staff had fun. It was great.
Dr. Margaret Giannini, who works with the VA on rehabilitation and research, says the games also provide an opportunity for veterans to reestablish their self-esteem.
It's probably one of the most exciting events that we have in all of the Veterans Administration. You know, we have several kinds of events. We have for the younger ones as well as the older ones, the wheelchair sports and winter sports, and then the Golden Age Games. And they all have a different kind of energy. But the ones for the Golden Age Games, those that participate, they seem to gather a new momentum. They seem to have a new lease on life. They seem to rejuvenate their youth because they get into that competitive spirit again.
And that competitive spirit can go a long way in making an impact on lives.
I properly exercise, which I should have done all along, and now I go every day. I won't skip in case, the last month you just don't get out of the pool. You just keep working at it. That's how it's changed.
Well, it makes you feel like there's something that you can do like other people can do. It keeps you on your toes to know what the world's doing and how people are and so forth. And it makes you relate to other people and say, well, I can count my blessings to a great degree.
I think that's wonderful because it sure brought me into therapy good. It makes the guys feel better, you know, that we can still compete long enough to, getting kind of old, but we're getting up there. And it's real nice. The best therapy I think we've ever had.
That's the purpose of being in the Veterans Administration and Veterans hospitals. They take care of you better than anything else. Without it, we wouldn't have anything.
Many of the veterans from these games will be taking home medals, but most of them that we talk to say it's not just the winning that counts. It's the self-esteem, the confidence, and the camaraderie that they gain from being veterans and working together once again. From Sherman, Texas, I'm Paula Padine for Veterans Only.
Because veterans' benefits are constantly changing, the Department of Veterans Affairs has prepared a special booklet entitled A Guide to Veterans Benefits. For a free copy of this informative and timely publication, write to VA Hotline, Post Office Box 1777, Louisville, Kentucky 40201. If you're experiencing a particular problem in qualifying for veterans' entitlements, the Department of Veterans Affairs will provide you with direct assistance. Address your correspondence to VA Hotline, Post Office Box 1777, Louisville, Kentucky 40201.
Many veterans feel their government isn't doing enough about missing Americans, and they're not about to let the nation forget. We invite you to come with us to the home of one such man and his family. Their music and their cause familiar to many of you from veterans reunions and conventions.
Thank you, Lord, for bringing us home safely and for this another chance to eat together. And special prayer tonight to bring our POWs home. Thank you for the love and strength that we have as a family and the freedom that we have as Americans. Amen.
Amen. This is the Festival Family Home in the beautiful farm country of northwestern Missouri. It is indeed a family in the true sense of the word, and it is music that brings these family members together.
The motto of our family is living together in peace and harmony through music. So music has always been the major factor in our organization, in our family, because we came together as musicians first. Music is a gift, you know, it's there. And so what we do is we use it to make people happy. Sometimes we do it to make people laugh, or sometimes we use it to make people understand something we care about.
Don't you care? I'm missing. Missing. How would you like to be missing?
Anyone who's ever heard the music of Brit Small and Festival has no doubt what it is these people care about. For years now, the self-imposed mission of this group has been to bring attention to America's POWs and MIAs. Yet Brit Small is the only veteran among them. He served with the 173rd Airborne in Vietnam and received a Purple Heart for battle injuries suffered in July of 1970.
I was wounded July the 5th on a mission with a small team of airborne rangers and some ARVN, and when we were ambushed, the ARVN took off on us and left us there to find our extraction point by ourselves, and I was wounded in the process and really wasn't even aware that I was wounded. I was so busy trying to stay alive.
His memories of Vietnam are frustrating ones.
But the way we fought the war, and you know, that's real obvious to everybody now that we were not able to accomplish what we set out to do that way. We were fighting in the wrong half of the country. We probably should have fought the war in North Vietnam.
Adding to the frustration of the war itself was the attitude of the American people toward the Vietnam veteran.
We'd been raised to think that the expectation was that we would all serve and we would be respected for it. And then when we did serve, we were not only not respected for it, but we were rubbed under for it, you know, and it was real difficult to get a job in this area. And it was virtually impossible, and that's why I'm running my own company now, because the only real way to survive was to become very independent and very self-sufficient.
Like so many other Vietnam veterans, Brit Small hid from his memories for years. He focused instead on his music, organizing his college fraternity brothers into a band, forming the nucleus of what is now Festival. Brit's wife, Johnny, is the group's manager.
I guess we've probably all got our ideas and opinions about how things should be done, but we put our ideas together and, you know, make things happen. Brit's really good at guiding the direction of our work, certainly.
He's very uncompromising in his ethics. If he believes something to be right, he's never willing to compromise.
Kind of like a coach of a ball team. You know, he's good at getting people motivated and figuring out what makes them work and how to get the most out of people.
He is a motivator. He can bring out the best in everyone, whether it's giving you the encouragement you need to pick you back up or the kick in the butt you need to produce.
While Brit Small's leadership clearly guides this group, it was the group that supported him as a veteran. They went to the wall with him in 1982 when trouble was brewing during the dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
There were these non-veterans who might be putting their lives right on the line at that moment for something that, and frankly, in 1982, we didn't understand. But we went down there and they wanted to go, so we went back and we stood on the hill and we watched it break out. I knew the trouble was going to break out because you could feel it. You could feel it in the air. So we stood on the hill overlooking the wall, and when the scuffling broke out, I took off my hat, my black cowboy hat, put on my beret, and walked down into the crowd and started singing. We just kept singing until everybody was singing with us.
Since then, Brit Small and Festival have sacrificed commercial success for the POW MIA cause.
We felt as a band that this was important, that we stick up for him as a veteran and those other veterans that needed help too. And it just evolved. The POW issue is something that as we found more about it, it kind of took on a life of its own.
Since we've become involved in this issue, we realized that there are literally thousands of people across this country who really dedicate themselves to this issue, you know, day after day. They do something every day to try and resolve it. And basically that's what it's going to take, is that kind of enthusiasm. Maybe not with everyone within the country, but enough people have to get that involved to really make a difference.
Each member of the festival family willingly spends long hours on and off stage to further the cause. They call Kurt Potritz Captain Diesel because when he's not playing the sax, you'll usually find him in coveralls.
Whatever it takes to bring these guys home, then that's what it takes. If it requires laying under the bus at 3 o'clock in the morning in 30 below zero weather, then that's what it takes.
Everyone pitches in to make the family work. After a long road trip, there are chores to be done and many mouths to feed. But there is a spirit of togetherness here, a peace that is only found in a close-knit family, an environment that children really enjoy.
You can run around, do almost anything you want.
What do you like best about being out here?
Well, you can ride horses, plenty of room to play around.
6-year-old Anna is especially proud of their Arabian horses.
Well, the biggest one is Beauty. She's an Arabian. And her son is Casa. He's Arabian too. And you have a little pony named Star.
Anna is often part of the show.
Somewhere out there beneath the Pamela.
When you sing Somewhere Out There, who are you singing to?
My dad. Well, I'm really singing it to all the veterans. But I look at Dad.
Somewhere out there, someone saying a prayer that we'll find one another in that great somewhere out there.
Anna's older brother, Marty, also travels with the group. He especially likes the Veterans Reunion.
I see a lot of friends. I learn new things. The concert's great. I like looking at the helicopters at Kokomo.
It's a boy who was with me when we stopped fighting. It's a boy that stood on stage with me at 5. And this is a boy that put on a t-shirt that said, "My dad's a Vietnam veteran and I'm proud of it." Nobody ever told me before that they were proud of me. And that was the turning point. 5-year-old. So 7 years later, I'm not very excited about giving that boy to the military system of this government under present circumstances. I'd like for the men of this country to be more important to our society, that we not be so willing to give them away.
From sea to shining sea.
When you listen and see Brett perform on stage, you can tell that he's not just singing a song, that he's singing what's in his heart.
Welcome home.
Veterans interested in starting their own business or expanding an existing business should consider using the services available from SBA, the Small Business Administration. Veterans receive priority consideration for counseling, loans, and loan guarantees. For a free Veterans Handbook on SBA Vet Services, write SBA for Veterans Only, Post Office Box 1777, Louisville, Kentucky 40201. That's SBA for Veterans Only, P.O. Box 1777, Louisville, Kentucky 40201.
Next week on For Veterans Only, we take you back to the snow-covered peaks of Colorado for the National Veterans Winter Sports Clinic. It's the first of 2 weeks of Best Of programs, highlighting the most popular shows from last year. I'm Brian Patrick. Thanks for being with us, and we hope you'll join us next time on For Veterans Only.
Share For Veterans Only with your friends and other veterans. A VHS copy of this week's program is available for $24.95, including postage and handling. To order your copy of For Veterans Only, Call area code 606-283-8170. That's 606-283-8170. You can charge your order on Visa or MasterCard or pay by check or money order by writing to For Veterans Only, P.O. Box 474, Florence, Kentucky 41022. That's For Veterans Only, P.O. Box 474, Florence, Kentucky 41022.
For Veterans Only is made possible by the Military Veterans Network of ITT Sheraton, welcoming, training, and assisting military and veteran reunion planners. By Galaxy Tours of Wayne, Pennsylvania, a world leader for national and international group travel. The producers thank this station and other public television stations for their assistance in making this program available. For Veterans Only is also telecast on the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service for the benefit of the men and women serving on active duty in our armed forces at home and abroad.